Welcome back to the government report. What if everything you do, every swipe, search, and sigh is already being analyzed by the government just to check whether you are a threat or not? Actually, this is happening right now in the United States. America is just taking in becoming a full-blown surveillance state. Police departments are syncing with Amazon Ring. Predictive AI is flagging people before crimes are committed. And major cities are using facial recognition that tracks your every step, even during protests. But here's the twist. It's not just the government anymore. Tech giants are building a parallel watch list, and they're scoring you in secret. Stick around till the end, because we'll reveal how your digital profile is already affecting your job prospects, credit access, and even airline treatment without you knowing. And the worst part? There's no appeal process for a system you didn't know you were in. The gadget that knows your secrets. What if the device you talk to every morning, asking about the weather or telling it to play your favorite song, is listening all the time, even when you think it's off? That's not just a fear anymore. It's already happening in millions of homes. Amazon's Alexa is no longer just a helpful gadget that sits quietly in your kitchen or living room. It has quietly evolved into a gateway for corporate surveillance, one that hears more than it should and knows more than it lets on. In 2023, a federal lawsuit revealed that Alexa devices had been capturing conversations even when users hadn't said the wake word. These weren't just rare mistakes. Internal documents showed that human workers were regularly reviewing these recordings, conversations about fights, secrets, private health issues, all to improve quality, they claimed. But the implications were far more sinister. Even more alarming was what happened with children's data. Amazon was caught storing recordings of minors long after parents had asked for them to be deleted. They were fined $25 million for violating children's privacy laws, yet the company still refused to give users full control over their data. In 2025, Amazon quietly removed the Do Not Send voice recordings option. That meant if you want to use Alexa now, you're agreeing to have every interaction uploaded and stored in Amazon's cloud. There's no opt-out. Surveillance is the price of convenience. Alexa has also been upgraded with emotional analysis software. It's no longer just hearing your words. It's trying to read your tone, detect your mood, and understand your emotional state. If you sound angry, Alexa knows. If you sound nervous or depressed, Alexa picks that up too. You're not just being heard, you're being studied. Baby monitors as spy cameras. You buy a baby monitor to protect your child, but what if that very device turns into a tool for strangers to spy on your home? That's no longer science fiction. It's happening, and it's terrifying. Baby monitors connected to the internet have become easy targets for hackers. Security reviews have found that most of these devices lack even the most basic protections. In a major investigation, the Federal Trade Commission discovered that 4 out of 5 brands they tested were dangerously vulnerable. Some didn't encrypt their data. Others made passwords visible to anyone who cared to look. These aren't small bugs, they're gaping holes just waiting to be exploited. In one of the most disturbing breaches, hackers gained control of the Motorola Halo Plus baby monitor. They could not only view the video feed, but also access the app, hear what parents were saying, and even communicate back through the monitor's speaker. These hackers weren't just watching babies, they were watching entire families. And the worst part? The families had no idea, because digital break-ins leave no broken locks or shattered windows. Most parents don't even realize they've been watched until it's too late. Some hackers used baby monitors to track adult behavior, figuring out daily routines when the house was empty and what security systems were in place. This wasn't isolated. In 2022, thousands of baby monitors were hacked at once, and their feeds were shared online. In one high-profile case, the company TrendNet was exposed for transmitting passwords and live feeds without encryption. Hackers posted links to nearly 700 camera streams, many from baby monitors, on public forums. The company was forced into 20 years of security oversight, yet the industry remains largely unregulated, and the threats are still growing. The invisible laws that enable mass surveillance. If you think surveillance is something done in secret rooms by shady spies, think again. Much of it is legal, and it's the law itself that's giving the government its power to look into your life. Take Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It was created to target foreign nationals suspected of terrorism. Sounds reasonable, right? But over time, this law became a tool for monitoring millions of Americans. In 2021 alone, the FBI conducted over 3.4 million warrantless searches of U.S. citizens' emails, texts, and calls using this law without needing a judge's approval. What started as foreign intelligence gathering quickly turned into a backdoor for spying on Americans. Even after internal reforms brought the number down to around 120,000 in 2022, the abuses were already clear. These searches included people who attended protests, flew through airports, or were involved in no suspicious activity whatsoever. Some agents even used the system to check up on personal acquaintances, dates, and potential roommates. In 2025, a federal judge ruled that these searches were unconstitutional. But by then, the government had already reauthorized and expanded Section 702 in April 2024, despite growing concerns. The law still allowed allows intelligence agencies to collect massive amounts of foreign data, then search through it for any mention of American citizens without needing a warrant. It's a loophole big enough to drive a truck through. And most Americans have no idea it's happening because the law is dressed up as national security, with the real implications buried deep in legal jargon. Smart meters. Most people don't think twice about their electric meter, but what if it's watching you closer than you'd ever expect? That's what smart meters are doing in millions of homes all across the country. Smart meters are digital devices that record your energy usage in real time. Unlike old meters that had to be read manually, these can report back every 15 minutes, or even faster. On the surface, this helps with efficiency, but behind the scenes, it opens a window into your private life. When you turn on the lights, run the microwave, or power up your computer, the meter notices. It builds a pattern of your life. When you're home, when you're awake, when you leave, and even which appliances you're using. Utility companies collect this data and often sell it to third-party marketers. In some cases, it's even been used by police to flag suspicious activity, like unusually high power use late at night. In one case, a household was flagged just for staying up late watching TV. The cops showed up expecting illegal activity, only to find nothing but insomnia. Still, the message was clear. Your electricity data isn't just yours anymore. It's being used to conclude your lifestyle. Even worse, smart meter data isn't protected like your phone or internet records. There's no need for a warrant. It's considered business data, which companies can share freely. That makes your energy usage one of the most unprotected and revealing pieces of personal data you have. Fusion centers. What if your local police department and the federal government were sharing information about you, from your license plate to your Facebook comments, all in one place? That place exists. It's called a fusion center. As of 2025, the U.S. has 79 fusion centers spread across states, territories, and cities. These are joint federal-state intelligence hubs created after September 11th to improve coordination, but today, they've grown into vast data-collecting machines, pulling in information from law enforcement, corporations, and social media. Fusion centers don't just track criminals. They track protesters, political activists, and ordinary citizens. They log license plates, scan social media, and even monitor neighborhood disputes. A Facebook post in your local group about a bad landlord or an upcoming protest, that could be flagged and stored in a fusion center database. What makes this even stranger is that many fusion centers are housed in converted shopping malls. Places that once sold shoes and smoothies are now command centers for state surveillance. It's both ironic and unsettling. Despite all this, their effectiveness is questionable. A Senate investigation in 2012 concluded that fusion centers had never actually stopped a terrorist attack. Still, their power and funding continue to grow, focusing less on national threats and more on monitoring everyday behavior at the local level. The legislation you never heard about. While the public debates privacy and security, the government has been expanding its surveillance powers, quietly and efficiently, by hiding them in bills that almost no one reads. Many surveillance programs aren't debated out in the open. Instead, they're tucked into massive defense or pandemic spending bills. That way, lawmakers feel pressure to vote yes, even if they have concerns about the surveillance parts. In 2024, Congress reauthorized Section 702 despite serious objections from both sides of the aisle. The vote passed 273 to 147. Most lawmakers barely had time to read the text. At the same time, federal agencies like the FBI signed secretive contracts with facial recognition firms. Clearview AI received an $18,000 contract, but many other companies have received millions. These deals go through quietly, without public oversight, while the technology spreads across police departments and federal buildings. Predictive policing, where algorithms try to guess where crimes will happen next, is still receiving funding, even though studies show it's often inaccurate and discriminatory. The Department of Justice doesn't even track how the money is used. Lawmakers have demanded answers, but the programs continue. The courts have carved out exceptions to the Fourth Amendment so wide they can fit the entire surveillance state through them. One of the biggest problems is the third-party doctrine, which says that if you share information with a company, like a phone provider or Google, you've given up your right to privacy. That means the government doesn't need a warrant to get it. Another loophole is the special needs exception, which lets the government do surveillance for things like public health or national security without treating it as a criminal investigation. It sounds reasonable on paper, but in practice, it allows constant monitoring with little oversight. Some court rulings have tried to fight back. In Carpenter versus United States, the Supreme Court ruled that police need a warrant to get cell phone location data, but even that hasn't changed the broader reality. The government's digital surveillance powers are still mostly unchecked. You might think all this surveillance is happening against the people's will, but the truth is more complicated and more uncomfortable. Polls show that Americans care deeply about privacy. In fact, 78% say they want stronger protections. But when surveillance is framed as a way to stop crime or terrorism, many people support it. It's a contradiction, and it's one the government has learned to use well. Lawmakers know this too. When Section 702 came up for reauthorization in 2024, many opposed it. But when the vote was bundled with military funding and national security measures, the bill passed. Both parties backed it. There was outrage, but not enough to stop it. This is what makes the surveillance state so hard to fight. It's not just a matter of government overreach. It's a system that has been built piece by piece, law by law, vote by vote. It's been approved, not in the shadows, but in the light of day. The normalized surveillance society. The scariest part of the surveillance state isn't that it exists, it's that we've gotten used to it. We live in a world where it's normal to have smart speakers, security cameras, tracking apps, and digital assistants in our homes. We swipe, search, tap, and talk, while forgetting that everything we do is being recorded somewhere. Surveillance isn't a secret anymore, it's part of life. License plate readers track your car, smart meters track your lights, social media tracks your thoughts, and facial recognition software watches you at airports and stadiums. This is no longer about spying, it's about control. Quiet, constant, and unquestioned. The question now isn't whether we live in a surveillance state. We do. The real question is whether we can do anything about it, or whether the right to privacy will become just another relic of the past.